Yeah, Coach. I know Bryce Stevens has already played in 3 games this year, and y'all have a couple of regular season games and a bowl left. I'm curious what the approach is with him, or are you trying to preserve that red shirt, or is that something you've talked with him about?
Well, that's on each individual basis, what we want to do. Obviously, we would play Bryce if we needed to. If we feel like he's our best punt returner, then we would continue to go ahead and do that. If you've got some guys you're going, they haven't played significant reps, 10 to 15% of the total team, total reps on their side of the ball. You would like to redshirt them, but it's very difficult to have those 4 weeks between the final game and bowl prep with no chance of, if you're going to preserve the red shirt, with no chance of participation in the bowl. So you would like to have no more than 3 games played, and then that way, as they're prepping for the bowl, I think the bowl prep will be better for them, and knowing they can play in the game. So he's a little bit in that situation. So we're kind of watching. We're not going to play him in significant reps, but if we need him, we'll go ahead and use his red shirt year. But we are very well aware of him, and we would like to hold it until the bowl game, if at all possible.
And then also, speaking of punt returns, Perotti, do you anticipate him being available this week, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he practiced yesterday, and I think he'll be ready to go.
Bob?
Hey, Sam, how you doing again? Hey, looking at Felipe's numbers, I guess 9 games last year because he missed Mizzou. 17 TDs, 4 picks, and then you look at KJ's numbers through 10 games. Granted, not all SEC, but 17 touchdowns, 3 picks, so almost identical, even a little bit better on the picks. If somebody told me that for the season, I probably would have said, nah, that ain't going to happen. But how surprised are you that KJ's hit Felipe's numbers like that? And just what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's really progressed and gotten better, it seems like, every week. I think he was a difference. I know there's a lot of, I'm talking about offensively, I think he was a difference Saturday against LSU. But that's not including your statistics there, Bob, but not including the running part of it too. And, so I think he's done a very, very good job of throwing the football, and he's so much better. He'll get better too. He's so much better now than he was last spring, and he's playing with a lot of confidence.
And then the Georgia experience, I know that the game didn't turn out well, but can you guys take that experience, going into that stadium and playing a team like that, can that help you guys for this Alabama game? Kind of a similar circumstance, I would think. Yeah,
I certainly hope so. We're planning on it to help us. Hopefully we learn some things from that game. It's different, a little bit different circumstances, because we were 8 in the country at the time, undefeated, 2 undefeated teams, all that kind of stuff. And, now we're kind of veterans of playing a lot of really good teams. We're not just coming off the unbelievable win on the number 7 rated team in the country against A&M and those things. We're kind of have a little bit more veteran about us. We understand what we did wrong there at Georgia. And part of that is, we have to start faster. And if we talked to the team about it yesterday, Bob, if something happens to us and we get in a unfortunate situation, well, we have to bond together and stop their run and then go on one of our own. So I think it will. I really do. I think it will. I think the atmosphere that we had at Georgia will help us with this atmosphere that we're getting ready to get at Alabama as well.
Thanks.
Do they move Anderson to either side? Who all will get a piece of Anderson this week?
Well, you got to block him first. So is that a trick question, or is that? Hopefully, it'll be both sides that they move him. I think primarily he's on our left, but they do move him. And hopefully our tight ends will get a piece of him. Our running backs will get a piece of him, and our tackles, and be able to put him one-on-one with the tackle for the, entirety of the game. It's just doesn't make any sense. So we've got a plan for him, and hopefully we can execute it.
We were talking to you earlier on the SEC call about your seniors who might come back, but the COVID deal, that applies to every class, if I'm not mistaken. Does that create complications for you with roster management?
Well, it can. I mean, your COVID, anybody who was in school during that COVID, the beginning of COVID, can get a COVID year back. Like this class we're getting ready to sign, they're not eligible for that, but before it was just free, Tom. I mean, so we could bring back Grant and all those guys last year, and it didn't cost us anything. It didn't cost us a roster spot, moving forward it does. So you might be a little more selective of who you ask to come back, because basically you're saying, is he worth a freshman coming in or a portal spot coming in to ask him to come back? So it's changed a little bit because it counts towards your 85.
Okay. And what have you seen of your game? Do you like your game plan to be able to run the ball better this week than last?
No, well, not at this time, not last Wednesday versus this Wednesday. I felt good about what we were trying to do to run the football. So I liked our game plan. We just, we didn't execute it. We didn't block the edges at all very well. But I liked last week. I liked this week. We know they're a fine football team, but we've run the ball on some really fine defensive fronts, and we'll see if we can get it done Saturday. I'm fine with where we are so far. We have a few tweaks from yesterday's practice, but other than that, I feel good about where we're at in the run game.
All right, let me know if you got more questions. Dudley?
Kind of following up on what Tom was talking about, there's a lot of the 2022 commits that are talking about being early enrollees. I guess at some positions that's a good thing, isn't it? But just talk about that overall. And also, I know that there have been times when bowl practices, early enrollees have been allowed to come to those. Is that something you're considering?
Yes, I'm considering that. Obviously they have to pay their own way here to be more of the local guys that we would do that with. It just depends, to be honest with you, Dudley. It depends on what bowl we get, for the date. Is it worth bringing a guy in 2 or 3 practices? I'm going to say yes, because we can get some of the medical things done, when they first get in here, and then there'll still be a little acclimation to where they meet different people and understand a little bit more, just a little bit, to be more comfortable when they get back. That would probably have a lot of value to it too. I forget the first part you asked. Yes, I answered the freshman one.
Just basically, there's some positions, maybe linebacker or something like that, where you've got some guys that are super seniors moving on. That would be important to have some of those type guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it many times. I believe that 80, 85% of your team, 90, somewhere in that range, should be high school kids. That if you're going to build a foundation, you need to do it off of high school kids. However, it may be closer to 80, maybe Dudley, but however, you've got to have a few where you can go out in the portal, and if you haven't, if you lose 2 or 3 linebackers, you may need an opportunity to either get a young, great one out of high school or go into the portal. So we have our portal board. I'm not really going to share. I don't want to share that because it would seem negative towards the kids we have. But we have a portal board, and that where we think that if we had 3, if we had 5 scholarships, whatever it may be, we would go to that area first.
Nate?
Yeah, Sam, I was wondering if having a great kicker like Cam Little affects your strategy, especially if you're able to keep it close against Alabama in the second half. And also, if another team has a great kicker, does it affect kind of what you do in the second half?
You know, LSU had a guy that could kick it, you know, basically we felt anywhere from the 40, you know, which would be a 57-yarder. And yeah, it affected, you know, we know all that, you know, we come in off of pregame and we get all the details and, you know, the opponent, our guy, whether he can kick it from the 33 to the north end and 37 to the south end or whatever. It's not 37, it's usually the max is 35 that we deal with, but we get all that information. And I'm very, very comfortable with Cam, very comfortable. Matter of fact, I really didn't have a feeling of whether he was going to make it or not. It was the other night, it was just strictly about, can we protect it, you know, which we've been good there this year protecting, but on field goals. And I really didn't have a fear that he wasn't going to make it. And I didn't really, when we decided to fake it, I just thought the time was right that, you know, and ended up we got 3, you know, so I don't know that it was a lot easier field goal, but I don't know that we benefit points wise by the fake. But I certainly thought if we could get it that we might go down and score 7. But I trust him big time. And that includes, you know, trust in Silver and trust in Bauer, you know, they're the snap and the holder. But I think Cam's really an asset for us, and it does make a difference what the opponent has as well.
Thank you.
Scotty?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Monday, after a look at the film, that you thought Ridgeway played well against LSU last week. And what did you notice on that tape that, you know, that he did to make an impact?
You know, he had a leg beat up, you know, maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. I thought that had healed up a little bit better for him. I felt like his quickness was better. I thought his strike was better. And they really, for the most part, he was consistently holding 2 guys in a gap, and allowed, you know, anytime you go, man, your linebackers are playing really well, probably the O-line's not getting up to them. And that's what, you know, it's not a sexy job or anything of that nature, but it's a very valuable one. He held the point. He made some plays in there, but he's a big man. He played with good leverage and good hands, and I thought it was one of his best games.
Last thing for me, Grant said last night that he doesn't view Slusher as a guy who's just filling Catalan's shoes anymore because he's kind of coming in to his own a little bit. Are you guys seeing that from him, that he's, you know, becoming a little bit more comfortable in the back end?
Well, I think anytime that you go out in a ball game and you play well, I think it builds confidence, not just in you, but your teammates in you. And I think you're seeing that a little bit more from Slush. I feel like he'll just continue to improve. I'll never forget he was back there. I forget what game it was. It might have been Auburn. And, you know, Barry had asked him something, and he said, Coach, I was nervous as I could be. Well, sure he would be, you know, back there. That's not the case. I mean, we all had nerves when we played probably, but that's not the case anymore. He's just trying to go do his job as effectively as he can and get his teammates to believe in him.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, earlier on the teleconference, you mentioned that y'all needed to punt better. I noticed Sam Loy got his first punt of the year against LSU. Is he kind of making a push there, or what's your punter situation looking like?
I think he's always, I mean, we kind of have a battle weekly. It seems like Reed's been winning all those. We just really needed to we're running a little bit more of a roll punt with Sam and that, and, you know, we need to settle down Reed just a little bit in that game. And Reed came back, punted really well. And after that, but yeah, there's just battle there. I don't look for this week to be any different than, you know, Reed will be out there. Obviously Sam can beat him out, but right now I think we're pretty set with Reed in there.
And you mentioned your portal board earlier. How does that go? Do you have somebody on staff that's assigned to like check the portal every day to see what's in
Yeah.
there, or how's that go?
Yeah, we have several. We have more than somebody, but we have a few that's looking at the portal. And then if we feel like they're, you know, our caliber, SEC type caliber, then, you know, we get an evaluation from our recruiting department, and then it's moved on through the process. The portal usually, if they're very, very good, it goes pretty fast, you know, so you kind of have to be rolling on that as fast as you possibly can. And the problem is I believe there's over 4,000 kids in the portal now, you know, so a lot of kids not, you know, going in, not being able to get out.
Last one, Tom.
Nick Saban was interested in hiring you before you ever coached a game here. I'm wondering, like, what's your professional relationship like with him, and what it was like saying no that time?
You know, I just have so much respect for Coach Saban. I mean, I just really do. And I would say that if this was the summer and we never played Alabama, what he's done is incredible. The coaching tree that he's, you know, guys that have worked for him that go out and then have great success. I mean, he'll go down as, in my opinion, one of the, if not the all-time greatest, you know, and I really believe that. That has nothing to do with we're playing Alabama, zero to do with it. It has everything to do with my respect for him. You know, it's just bad timing. It was poor timing for me. You know, I was at my dream school, which was Arkansas, and I just got here, and I hadn't been here maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and it was bad. It was really, you know, you couldn't consider it because of timing, you know, alone, let alone my love for Arkansas. But you just can't, you know, it's hard to go into a job and then leave 3 or 4 weeks later whenever you just said, hey, this is the greatest place in the world. It just didn't make any sense to Jamie and I.
We know how fond you are of Josh Oglesby. Was it just tough to get him the amount of carries that, you know, that he wanted this year?
Yeah. And, you know, to me, and I'm sure he won't be the last guy, you know, that we have going to the portal. But to me, that's exactly what the portal's for. And Josh came in and spoke with me, and I don't want to give you the details. That'd be up to him, to whatever. I have a high respect for him. And it was, Coach, I know my situation on the depth chart. I've got a lot of speed. I think I can go help somebody and play. I know where I'm at here. What do you think? And I said, I think that's exactly what the portal's for. That you get stuck in a situation where you can't, you know, get on the field and everybody wants to play. Go find a school that maybe needs his talents a little bit more than what we did. So I was all for it, and all for him being able to do that. Portal doesn't mean, a lot of times it doesn't mean that the head coach is mad because the guy goes in it. A lot of times it can be mutual, you know, and it can be, go help yourself, go play the game. Still a fun game, go play it.